Right, and we are live. I know there's like a kind of like a 30-second delay. Rebecca was telling me after we start this, so it's kind of like a, are we live, aren't we? But we are. It is going, and now there's a delay. Wonderful. All right, cool. So
YouTube and Facebook.
we are. It's YouTube, and then basically we're sharing the link. Like on Facebook. So we have like the video playing on Facebook, but it's like this platform is through YouTube. Yeah. So for those of us who are just kind of joining us right now, hello and welcome. This is BPBC's 5th concert. Isn't that kind of crazy? For anybody who is just kind of finding out about us, we are approximately 6 months old. We started on June 16th, and we have been commissioning works by Black composers ever since. So we have some really exciting things in store for you today. Before I introduce our two, our artist in residence and our composer and guest of honor today, we have a couple of exciting things coming up, actually. On December 19th, we are going to be partnering with Sound Off Music for Bail, and we are going to be curating half of a concert. And so we'll be posting kind of more information about that as we get closer to that date, but please save the date and check out Sound Off for Bail in the meantime. At this point, I think we are kind of ready to go. So I would love to introduce our artist in residence for November and December, Mason Bynes. Mason has been one of our first composers to write music for BPBC, and her piece Reckoning is really, really fantastic. So I would urge you to check that out. And it was just performed today, earlier, by wonderful bass player Maggie Cox. So thank you so much, Maggie, and thanks you for the shout out today. So yes, our artist in residence, Mason Bynes, and our composer, Byron Crenshaw.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you, Sam. Thank you first, everyone who is tuning in tonight. I'm so excited for today's concert with Byron. And first, I just wanted to say thank you to all of the collaborators with BPBC, with all of the work as being a composer, but then also inviting me back to be an artist in residence. It's been so fun to be able to bring my friends in and collaborate on new music. So Byron, hello again. I'm so excited for tonight. You are visiting us from Tulsa, right?
Yeah. Right now I'm in my mom's office in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And it feels really relaxing. It feels great to be doing this. It's dope.
Yeah. Southern Hang, super excited. If there are Southerners out there, shout out to y'all. So since we were last together, we had a really exciting workshop with Byron where you got to, tell us a little bit about your piece, and then we're able to walk us through a few snippets of your music. And if you haven't been able to check that out, that video is still on YouTube under the BPBC link. So Byron, just to give some of our new visitors or just to refresh our memory, can you tell us a little bit about your piece and if anything has changed or evolved since we last spoke?
Yeah, most definitely. It didn't even have a title when we first spoke. I felt like it was something that definitely was in its infancy and probably still is. But yeah, I feel like it got the name Young Perseverance Spirit, largely due to the experiences that happened this year. And I wanted something that felt, like we talked in the workshop, something that felt very honest, something that felt very visceral and very vulnerable.
Yeah, totally. And we had a really fun, like philosophical kind of conversation in addition to the music, which I really appreciated. So just to plug that, if you ever want to, after this, listening to Byron's premiere, if you want to, get more into Byron's head, I guess, or mind about the process of writing this piece and just everything that we were able to talk to. I know I really benefited from that conversation too, just to say that. So just curious, talk a little bit about this, because when I saw the title Young, and I love how you spelled young, super cool, Young Perseverance Spirit, YUNG, no O, okay. I really liked the title. And like, honestly, since we're friends and me and Byron went to University of North Texas together, and I feel like that's you. You are a young perseverance spirit. And I feel like that really encompasses your music in general. But I think also thinking about the trajectory of your piece, not to give too much away, but I feel like it speaks to the trajectory of your piece too, if you wanted to share a little bit about that too.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel like it was kind of, it's kind of constructed in like three sort of sections, you know, and it does feel chronological. You know, it's intended to go in that order, and if you kind of take it like, if you take each individual section as a mood, you really feel this kind of art between it starting in this kind of like hypnotic, more trance-like ostinato sort of space, and then it goes through that, it accelerates, dips into a lull, and then has this climax, and then falls. You know, and I felt like I feel like on a really visceral level, it really felt like, it really felt like expressive to what I was meaning to express in that way. Mhm.
Yeah, totally. Love that. So also just to plug Byron, he's blowing up on Spotify with this Growth Eternal album, Bass Tone Paintings. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. It's blowing up. Congrats on all of your success with that. I was super excited when you released it because I knew you were working on it for a while. And again, I was telling you, I showed my dad earlier and we were jamming earlier. So again, Bass Tone Paintings, check it out. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into this performance video. And if you are watching, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat on either the live stream on YouTube or Facebook, and we will regroup and talk about your piece in a little bit.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Byron Crenshaw, and this is my piece, Young Perseverant Spirit. Thank you.
All right, everyone, that was Young Perseverant Spirit by Byron Crenshaw. Congrats on a really cool piece. How was it receiving it this way?
Thank you. It's weird, you know, because it takes it just feels so different when it's like just like the little like bits day by day, and then like after like I feel like once you did all the deadlines and everything, you're like, okay, let me not think about that at all. And then now that yeah, it feels good. It feels good, you know. Yeah.
Good. It was really cool to be able to, like, I've been able to be with you on this journey of like its completion. And it's it's interesting, like being able to, I can't sit still when I hear like my music being performed and stuff like that, so like it's interesting to be able to sit down and receive, especially in this like weird Zoom thing where it's like it's you in your room and you don't have to be like amongst everyone that's also experiencing like physically your stuff. So very interesting. So one more plug, I forgot to mention, it's Bandcamp Friday. So if y'all are looking for some new music, please buy Basstone Paintings by Byron Crenshaw on Bandcamp. And then also this score will be available to you electric bass players out there if you're interested in playing this work, if you go onto the Bass Players for Black Composers website. So also I have a few questions before also opening up to any questions from the audience. I always have questions, so I hope this isn't annoying, but I'm moving on. So I wanted to ask you about, I loved you have such a fun, like electric, like spirit, truly. And it's fun to watch you present your music, even when we were in our undergrad and we took that one film class, and your collaborations with, yeah, like you are so fun to watch. And like, I always look forward anytime there's collaboration or if I get to see your work, like what new thing or what spirit you'll bring to it. So I also wanted to just ask, like, with this whole visual aspects, because in your album, there are some visual aspects too. And I was watching some of the YouTube videos, like the lyric videos for some of your songs, and they're really cool. So I was just wondering, now that we're in this thing called COVID and life, has this way that we've had to present our work had an effect on how you want to present your work, and if that's changed at all.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. I feel like uh it's kind of tricky because I feel like well, when I was doing the visuals for bass tone paintings, most of that was before the COVID and the first quarantine and everything. So it was at a period where it being kind of like virtual felt like a separate sort of entity from the primary way I thought people would normally see me or see my music, which is like in live venues or just like looking at the album artwork and like listening to it. But it's interesting now, like the visual aspect of knowing that, for instance, like knowing that that performance in my room is like the premiere performance, and there's no like hall that we're going to and everything. It definitely it makes my room feel different, if that makes sense. Like now my room's, it's on my workspace and my concert hall and like all this stuff together, and like my hangout with my friends. It's so that's crazy. And also I feel like with me knowing that that's the primary way that, and the first way that people are going to be exposed to that new piece of music, I felt like it made me put more intentful purpose into the actual just framing of all like the nitty gritty stuff of like how I like angled the actual filming footage and like all of that stuff, because I feel like in jazz bro culture you're like, yeah, the camera's on and you just keep going, but now now I have to focus about it more, so it's been fun.
That's really interesting, this idea of like your room feeling different. That's a really good point, because now that I think about it, I'm like, I had recently had a piece performed at the Royal Festival Hall in London, and it was broadcasted over BBC, and I was sitting in my room like, this huge thing is happening, but I'm here, and I sleep in here, and I like moisturize like in this room, like it's so weird. So that's kind of interesting, like in a philosophical way. One other thing I wanted to ask you, well, I guess, oh, we do have a question from the audience. Also, I'm just going to call out my dad. I know he's watching downstairs and I'm teaching him how to play bass. So Dad, if you have any questions about learning how to play the bass from the Byron Crenshaw, or any of your experience with hearing this work from Byron, put them in the chat.
Let's hang. Virtual.
Bass tings. Okay, so we have a question. The question is, as a double bassist, I don't know much about extended techniques for electric bass. Can you explain some of the notation you used when writing this piece, like the X's and the squiggly things?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of it was, when I went into it, I was thinking, just how do I make this as like clear but concise as possible, because it's like, I feel like when you're notating, that's not like, let me be artsy. Like I'm just gonna try and make you read it as easily. So because of that, for instance, with there's this part, let's say with the harmonics, where I think the standardized way of doing it is that little circle above the note, above the staff, which is like a symbol for a harmonic. And also I notated it on the exact note, but just octaves down from the actual harmonic, so you can see what type of harmonic that you need to play. But it's tricky because with extended technique, there's no exact physical space. There's multiple physical spaces where you can play that harmonic. So even with that notation, there's still some amount of information left out, and I feel like that's kind of the encoding sort of thing that happens when you write down the music. And I feel like I thought about like how nitty gritty do I want to, but if I would have notated it any further, I think it would have been less concise in a way that I think if like the average bassist is going to like want to play the piece, I think that, like they're not gonna be like incompetent, like they're gonna be trusting, if they trust in themselves, I'll trust in them. So I believe that they could definitely either like intuitively or through the kind of like hints that I have written out, they can see that this is the easiest way that's written, or they could find like an easier way that I don't even know about,
Yeah, just to comment on that, I feel like that allows your piece to breathe, you know? Sometimes it can be so bogged down as composers as like, what is the articulation? And like, how are they doing it specifically, you know? And sometimes that can kind of choke the performer out a little bit, you know, as far as like, how do I do this exactly as the composer is asking? So I think that's a really good answer.
Yeah, I feel like with jazz too, like I'm used to jazz lead sheets, and with jazz,
Yeah.
I feel like it's like the performer, I feel is probably more takes more liberties with the melody in general than classical, you know? So I feel like, especially coming from, I didn't even think about it till now, but coming from that background, I pretty much assumed that people would take liberties with pretty much the whole piece to an extent, you know, where I'm not gonna die if you change the note, so you can do it if you want, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that allows, you know, anybody to be able to play your piece, you know, and feel like they can approach your piece. So I think that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Got another question. The question is, Byron, do you feel like you compose differently when writing for yourself or for others or both?
Oh, yeah.
Good question. I like that.
Yeah, I definitely think so. Yeah, to a certain extent. I think that there's probably, honestly, I think the majority still is pretty static. Because I think I try to have like the compositional self and like the performance self be as cohesive as like I can, you know, like hopefully one day it'll be like, oh, that's the same person. But until I get there, you know, I just try and get it as close as I can.
Mm.
So to answer your question, I think that it's probably like, you know, 70-30, where I think I will definitely take, I'll be more kind of experimental if I think it's me doing it, because I do want to just keep pushing myself and like just experiment with stuff while I did it. And a lot of the, especially towards the third section of the piece, a lot of stuff that I wrote on that was stuff that I either was messing around with right before we started this or just while we were doing it. So I feel like it's kind of, it feels like as I grow, like the piece is growing with me in like in a similar way. So I feel like in that sense, when I write a piece that I'm going to perform or I have the intention of being the first person to perform it, I will take more experimental liberties. But with, if it's for something that I feel like is going to be more general or more commercial, just with like you're wearing a different hat, I'll keep that in mind. But I probably don't as much as I should.
I got you. I got you. That was a good question. I liked that one.
Yeah.
So I've got one final questions and I'll keep an eye out in the chat if there's any other ones, but I wanted to ask you about this idea of like bass tone paintings. We kind of touched on it in our workshop, but I feel like this is like your coined thing, you know? And so how did you come up with this concept of like bass tone paintings, or like how were you introduced like into this idea? Because in the middle section of this piece, there are these really gorgeous chords that kind of melt and swirl around, and I think that's very evocative of this idea of bass tone paintings. So if you could kind of touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, thanks, Mason. I think it was honestly, like we talked in our workshop about, like how a lot of the times in either educational or like higher academic culture, there's a tendency to really conceptualize pieces even to the own piece's fault. And I felt like even as a jazz player going through an academic jazz university, I felt like I got into this habitual pattern of continuously putting the concept of the music over how the music makes me or other people feel, you know? And it felt like it was weird because it felt not only alienating to other people, but I felt like I was kind of alienating my own experience too, you know? For this like brainy, like, what if this shit happened like this?
Yeah, that's truth. I'm glad that you spoke on that.
Yeah, so I feel like just ever since I've been out of college, I've been trying to basically kind of find this median, you know, where it's like I don't want to just like throw out the baby with the bathwater, but I want to really just keep all the things I learned in college, but like also return to this really fundamental place of why I fell in love with music before I thought of doing it as a career, you know. And I feel like the way that when I talk to my non-music friends and they talk about music, or when I think about how I used to just observe, enjoy, and consume music, it felt like from that more mood, tone, and visceral oriented place, you know? So with bass tone paintings, I wanted to return to that, and I wanted to really not only explore it, but to find myself in a way, you know, through these sort of like tone textural paintings. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think, you know, I've said this like a million times, but like I feel like I just love that you said that. And I love that you're challenging both the listener, but also just the people that make the music. You know, if we're in these, to kind of break out of the institutionalized idea of music. I know it's kind of risky talking about it, but like I, being able to, you can hear that in your music, and you're not, well, I'll just say me, like as the listener, I don't feel like constricted or in some type of way where I have to analyze. It's almost second nature sometimes when you're so bogged down in being a student or just like playing repertoire of whatever type of genre, like instantly with listening music. It's great to have this return back to just enjoying it and receiving it, and still, and not, you know, as you said, like not throwing the baby out with the bathwater, but soak it in a tub, you know what I mean? Like being able
Well,
to like really soak it up and receive it, you know?
yeah, yeah. Do you feel like you've been like writing more so trying to like explore that yourself lately?
Yes. So it's kind of secret, but for my, I'm gonna be graduating next year with my master's in, ooh, praise the Lord, y'all. So I am doing this concept of music and food, and how like there are a lot of similarities between how we prepare a recipe and how we prepare a score, how we prepare, you know, soon we don't need the recipe and we just deliver because we know how to do it. And so you have that like technological, or not technological, but like analytical part of doing that. But then once you know the recipe, you just cook because you know how to do it, but you enjoy it and you don't obsess over the technicality. And then the sounds we make with music. So like currently I'm writing this piece called Vino Variations, where I'm, you know, doing the wine glass thing and doing all of that. But
Oh,
I'm pairing like my voice and the wine glass tones, and then just having fun with it. I'm not even writing a score. Like I just took some sound samples and then I put it into Logic. And then now I also like, instead of just focusing on the tone, focusing on like the grittiness, if you like really dig your finger into the wine glass and it's like, "Wah," and then going back into the tone and like matching that with my voice, and not being so like not pressuring myself to mine the meaning of the piece, like just feel good with it and make a jam with it, and not feeling like you have to be so big with it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So we have some two questions. One's from my dad. I'm really excited. But there's let me see. Okay, gotcha. So this is from Spencer Bynes, and he asks, what influences you more when you are composing? Is it technical perfection or more about what you are experiencing in the moment, which is kind of about what we were saying earlier?
Yeah, yeah. I think definitely the latter. I feel like it's definitely more so towards the experience of trying to like express something, you know? Like kind of to put an analogy to it, you know, like I'm doing like a Duolingo kind of obsessively now. I'm doing Duolingo, and when I want to like just like learn a phrase or express myself uh, in some sort of way, you know, it's like I'm wanting to go. My first thought is more so focused towards the expression itself or the end goal in that way, and then I think the technique is just the means to the end rather than the end itself. So because of that, I definitely focus to the technique. And I feel like that was the one thing in my head, like, oh, the technique's not good enough when I was recording it. So I definitely have that bug, but I try and save that for after the composition at its heart is for the intention, you know? Yeah.
Yes, totally. Love that answer. This is so fun. So apparently there are a lot more people on our live. So I wanted, maybe we could show your video one last time. Take any more questions. If you are joining our live stream, hi, welcome. We're so happy to have you. We'll go ahead and transition to your video and then we'll take some more questions and call it a night.
Let's do it.
All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Byron Crenshaw, and this is my piece, Young Perseverant Spirit. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, y'all, if you're just tuning in, that was another encore performance, a virtual encore, isn't that weird? With Byron's piece, Young Perseverance Spirit. Thank you again for everybody tuning in with us tonight. So I just also wanted to say that the score is now live on the BPBC website. So if there are any electric bass players hanging with us tonight, it's live. You can get your hands on it visiting the website. One last plug for the amazing Byron Crenshaw's album, Bass Tone Paintings. It is Bandcamp Friday, so if you are interested in buying this album, you should totally do that. I also wanted to capture some of the comments. So my roommate Annalise was watching and she said that she loved the framing of the camera shot and that your room staging for the performance was super sick. So that's awesome. Spencer Vines loves the experimental sound. So shout out to Spencer. And then also Christopher Walker from UNT also commented and said that he has he said no questions, but wanted to give a hi from y'all's eternal fans back in Denton. So thanks for hanging with us tonight. Yeah. So yeah, that is all for tonight. Just as a kind of a wrap up, I wanted to say thanks, Byron, for saying yes when we reached out to you. This was so fun. It was also really fun to be able to connect with you again after graduating. So that was super fun.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank bass players for Black composers. Like this is like amazing. So I'm honestly honored to do this. This is like I've never done this type of thing before, so it was like special to me, special to be with you all for it. So it was fun. Yeah.
Yay, good. So excited. So also just thank you to BPBC for inviting me as a composer all the way back in July. I can't even remember what happened in July except this. So thanks for letting me be on here with you guys. And then also being an artist in residence, it means a lot that I could bring my friends on. Earlier we had Daniel Murray with us and he killed his playing of my piece, The Reckoning. And then also just super excited we got to bring you on for tonight. So thank you everyone for watching. And one last plug, if you are wanting to play this new work by Byron, Young Perseverance Spirit, you can check it out on BPBC.
I literally, I remember earlier today, I was looking up like the Spotify calculating thing and literally like the equivalent of like $10, like your average gig tip was 3 million streams, which
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so literally like literally someone giving like 50 cents would be more streamed than they would probably ever do on like, it's probably like how many times you would listen to Michael Jackson in your life. It's like $1, yeah. It's messed up.
Ooh wee. That's insane. Oh my gosh.
Please don't.
Yeah, so with that said, go to Bandcamp and buy the album. Support your artists in this time, but specifically Byron, because he deserves it and has worked so hard with all this work. So yeah, you guys, that is it for tonight. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you on December 19th for another installation of BPBC's work. So have a good night. Later.